So let's have a little chat, shall we? Let's have a little bit of a occult chat. You know, the occult and spirituality and spirit and magic emanates in every aspect of our lives, whether we notice it or acknowledge it or even care. There's a book called Mind Control 101, I believe. And I believe the title also putting people up under mind control and they don't even care, something like that. Most people are up under mind control and don't even know it, and don't care. So everything that I talk about, it doesn't matter. I don't always have to talk about the technical stuff that you use in spirituality and the occult, or the specific things that people that have become synonymous with spirituality and the occult, which is, candles and tarot cards and tools that we use to, for divination and getting and gaining insight into a situation and stuff like that. Spirituality is, it emanates in all aspects of life. So when I talk about situations, that's spirit asking me to bring it to the floor. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm deeply, deeply spiritual, deeply. And I don't say that lightly. And being deeply spiritual does not mean that you don't fall short of your own glory, or as the Christians say, fall short of the glory of God. Okay? Spirituality is a process. It's a personal, individual experience that you have with your spirit and others as well, possibly. But everything, spirituality, the occult, it emanates from all aspects of life. So it's not always going to be about a candle or tarot. Those are tools that we use. And I've said this before, but I want to reiterate it. So when people hear me speak, just know that I'm a different type of occultist and a different type of spiritualist, because I'm a communicator. My spiritual gift is communication. And that's something that I do for a living when I choose to, because I don't have to work all the time like other people do. I can work at my own leisure. That's just what I can do, you know. But I'm a communicator, and I use the magic and the spiritual aspect of communication to open up dimensions for defense against entities, lower level entities, people that are being manipulated by lower level entities. We all have our gifts. We all have our gifts and ways of deflecting and getting things done. And my voice is my power. My voice is my bread and butter in so many different ways. I remember my friend Christopher Barry used to tell me that my voice calmed him. And I remember when we first started talking, when we first became acquainted, we didn't know each other for a long period of time because he died in the process of us getting to know each other. But he used to tell me, he would have to call me throughout the day just to hear my voice, because he said my voice kept him calm. If it was just for 5 minutes, he needed to hear my voice, because he said my voice was comforting to him. And I like that, to have a man of his stature calling me, telling me that my voice kept him calm. That was really a compliment, knowing the brilliant, beautiful God that he was. But anyway, I just wanted to say that because I always want to put that disclaimer out there, because people think that spirituality is just about this or that. But spirituality is about, it's an individual experience. It's an individual experience. And people like me and others who practice this, we can give you different perspectives, but at the end of the day, it's your own individual experience, how you deal with it and what you go through. And nobody can take that away from you. We can only advise you, and there are a lot of good advisors out there, and we can only advise you, and that's that. But everything that I talk about is connected to spirituality, because it's the spirit that motivates me and moves me to talk, not any people. Fuck people. Fuck people. It's been a lot of energies that have been shifting lately. And I know I talked about Saucy Santana last. And it's a lot of stuff that's been happening. But you know what's interesting? After I made that video about Saucy Santana, Tupac, or what we think or know, or what we think we know about Tupac, that energy I started feeling that energy come forth. And I've had experiences energetically with that energy before. And I went back and I started watching the movie Juice. The movie Juice that Tupac played in. Some of you who are millennials, who are really young, you may not remember that movie, but there was a movie that came out in the early 90s when the dinosaurs ruled the world, when I was young, and the spring chicken back then, child. But there was a movie called Juice. He starred in it. He played a character named Bishop. And Bishop was a very, very dark character. He played the motherfucking shit out of that role. He was a scary ass nigga in that motherfucking movie. He was scary, okay? So the gist of it was, there were 4 friends living in, I believe, New York, the inner city of New York. Tupac Shakur, Omar Epps, and 2 other guys. They're well-known actors, but I can't think of their names. One of them played that rapist in For Colored Girls, and he's been on a lot of stuff. He's really sexy, pretty brown, light complexion, nice body. Oh, he's fine as hell, And the other dude is a heavy-set dude that played in Lean On Me, but I can't think of their names right now. I think the heavy-set dude's name is Jermaine or something like that. But anyway, to make a long story short, so they were 4 friends living in the inner city. And they were dealing with the everyday challenges of being black men and, living in a very, troublesome, tumultuous time at that time in the 90s, which was a very tumultuous time for a lot of us as black people living in the inner city. I was from the inner cities of Washington, D.C. Now, I didn't always grow up in the inner city part, but eventually when things changed and people changed and things shift, I ended up living in the inner city parts of Washington, D.C. And I'm going to tell you something. Most of those dudes I went to junior high school with, they are probably dead. I've tried to look up several of them and I couldn't find them. There was this guy named Maurice, and I went to junior high school with him. And I think he went both ways, or whatever the case may be. He was fine as hell, and he was masculine. And I tried to look him up to see where he was at, right? And I can't find any record of him. He might be in jail, he might be dead, which is really, it's really a tragedy. It's really a tragedy. But anyway, getting back to Juice, they lived in the inner city, and they were friends, and they were trying to figure out this shit like the rest of young, like black men do in general. So they were living in the inner city, and basically they were trying to come up and find different ways to come up. They were dealing with people that were they were dealing with other gangs that were trying to bully them and shit like that, like one Puerto Rican gang. And it was just it was really a tragic a tragic friendship story gone wrong. Because in the process of them trying to stand up to the people in their communities that were bullying them and disenfranchising them and mistreating them, in the process of trying to stand up to these people, they ended up turning on each other. They ended up cannibalizing each other. And it's really indicative, and it really shows how black men can really turn on each other. Let me just say it that way. I know that sounds lame and whatever, but I don't really want to seem like I'm beating up on black men, because I'm not. That's not this video anyway. So I kept trying to figure out why am I watching this again? And my spirit kept saying, just keep watching. Just keep watching. I said, okay, I'll keep watching. So I couldn't figure out why why am I watching this? Keep watching. I was watching, I finally figured it out. Because Omar Epps' character, GQ, he was a, what did he do? He was like a DJ. He was going into the DJ business. He could mix tapes and everything, and the shit sounded really good. And that's where he was going into that realm of being hip-hop DJ artist, or whatever the case may be. So then I realized why my spirit had me watch it, because it goes back to what I was saying about Saucy Santana and the downfall of the rap industry. And let me say this as a disclaimer, because I don't want my fellow black gay brethren thinking that I'm turning against you or nothing like that. It's not about that. This is about spirit. This is about energy and frequency and vibration. And I know I say that all the time like a broken record, but that's because that's what this is about. And the spirit is not right with this move with Saucy Santana into that energy. The spirit is not right for that energy. And that is why I talk about that. This has nothing to do with being gay per se. It has more to do with the energy behind it. If you're going to have a gay person in hip hop, then let that gay person be someone that can really represent what hip hop really represented. And what Saucy Santana is really doing is more ballroom energy. Like the Paris is Burning Voguers and stuff. That's what that is more about. And hip hop, that really doesn't have a place in that hip hop energy for various reasons. It's not about being discriminatory. It's about looking at the energy and understanding what hip hop was really about and the energy behind it. And that's what I'm here to talk about. So my spirit kept telling me, keep watching, because I figured out what it was about. These energies were coming through to say to me, hey, look, you got a point there. That the current state of hip hop that it's in now, it's bringing in a much lower vibrating energy. Because hip hop rap, whatever you want to call it, it has been gentrified. It has been gentrified like everything else. And that is really the bottom line. It has been gentrified. It has been invaded. And a lot of people can thank Dr. Dre for that, because he was the one that introduced others. He helped. He's a major person on the hip hop scene or the rap scene, and he brought in others to the party. I was watching an interview with his name is not Naughty by, but Tretch, the lead singer in Naughty by Nature. And, incidentally, he was also in the movie Juice. Tretch, with his fine, sexy motherfucking ass child. Tretch, okay? As a matter of fact, I forgot all about it, but I know some of his relatives because some of his relatives grew up in the same area that I did in DC when I was younger. And I actually forgot that he used to come and visit them in the apartment building across the walkway from me. But that's another story. But he has peoples in DC and I know his peoples. I don't know him, but I knew his peoples, okay? I don't know him though. I just want to throw that out there. So he was talking about he did an interview maybe almost a couple of months ago. And he was talking about, and if I find the interview, I might post it in the video description box so people can see for themselves. But what he was talking about was the beef between Biggie and Tupac. And he was talking about how they both were murdered and how they both went to their graves. Basically never, I'm just putting this in my own spin on it. They both went to their graves, never making amends with each other. Because the sad thing is that Biggie and Tupac, they were friends at one time. But what's interesting? That was all set up by Puff Daddy. He pitted them against each other. Because Puff Daddy, see, the thing about Puff Daddy, he's like another Cora Masters Berry. See, she had always been lurking behind the scenes. And for people who don't know who that is, that's Marion Barry's widow. Not Christopher Barry's mother, but Marion Barry's widow. And that's the nicest thing I can say about her, okay? But like her, and he's a Scorpio, darker side is Taurus. She's a Taurus, darker side is Scorpio. That's what they do. She was always in the background lurking, having work done, so she could come out. So she could come out and be what she is now, which is all of a sudden now she's a revolutionary when she's not really a revolutionary type of energy. She was a woman who stole another woman's husband. She befriended Effie Barry and then now she didn't really steal him, but she was probably fucking Marion Barry behind Effie's back because she knew Marion Barry before Effie did. Okay? And not to mention Christopher did not like her too much. He didn't like her at all. He did not like Cora at all. And he told me that. He told me that personally. But Puff Daddy is a lot like her. They pit people against each other. They feed off of the energy and then they prop themselves up in these positions of power or so-called power. And that's exactly what he did because he was always lurking in the background. See, I didn't really know who Puff Daddy was back in the 90s. I didn't know him. Or did I? I knew about Mace. Maybe I did know him. Maybe I did know a little bit about him, but I didn't know much about Puff Daddy. I didn't know that much about him. He wasn't as prevalent or relevant as Tupac and Biggie. I knew who Tupac and Biggie were more so than I knew him because they were the two main faces of hip hop at that time, okay? But people like Puff Daddy, they opened up the gateway for the downfall or the shift of the hip hop and the rap game as we see it now. And then I just recently heard that Puff Daddy did he get a Lifetime Achievement Award? I know they didn't give him that. Please tell me that has to be a colossal joke. For me, a person who would deserve a Lifetime Achievement Award is someone who has some dignity and some motherfucking respect. And I know no celebrities or musicians are perfect, but that motherfucker, he don't deserve that fucking award. And when you look in his eyes and people ain't paying attention, there's nothing human inside of him anymore. His eyes are black. What type of entity is inside of him? But people ain't paying attention. You got to have a good spiritual eye to see it. His eyes are black. It probably would scare most people, but it don't scare me. His eyes are black. He has no life force in his eyes anymore. But yet they gave him the Lifetime Achievement Award. You feel what I'm saying? He opened up the gateway along with Dr. Dre and a few other black hip hop artists who are on the top. They opened up the gateway for hip hop to become the debauchery and the utter dismal joke that it is now. Because remember, hip hop and rap was a symbol, and they were like hieroglyphs telling a story, telling the black man's story, telling the black woman's story. And I'm talking about before it became about disrespecting women, disrespecting black women and all that. I'm talking about before all of that. And listen, let's not get too wrapped up into that human shit. This is spirit. Let me be clear about that. This is spirit. We're not talking about that. But they told a story about their experiences, about their pain, about their gain. And within that hip hop culture, it was like a revolutionary energy that kind of protected and guarded the black community. But then you had people come in starting this East Coast, West Coast bullshit. And see, that is where the downfall came. That is where this downfall came. And see, that East Coast, West Coast shit was actually a distraction so they could start bringing in these gentrifiers within the hip hop game. And I've talked about this before, but I want to talk more in depth about it because hip hop was black culture. That was the black man's motherfucking science. Hip hop and rap was a science, a spiritual science. It was a language. It communicated a language that most people, if you weren't a black straight man, or rather a black heterosexual man, you wouldn't understand that language. Or even if you weren't a black woman, because there are plenty of black female rappers too. Let's not leave out, Yo-Yo, Lil' Kim, and Queen Latifah before she was gentrified, who else? So many different, you can name the black women too. So I'm going back into the 80s and the 90s, and I'm looking at all of this power and the revolutionary power that black men had within the science of hip hop. And that's what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a science. It was also a defense, because Tupac, I know people, a lot of people, I personally, I was more into Tupac's acting more so than his rapping, because I'm not, when it comes to rap, I'm kind of vanilla. I'm not really a rap fan or hip hop fan like that, but I do respect the science of it. I respect the science of it, not the degrading or the violence, talking about killing other black people, none of that. But again, that was their science. It wasn't personal. That was their science. They were telling people what they were going through, where they come from. That's what hip hop used to be about. Just like that song, Lots of Lovin' with Pete Rock and CL Smooth. They were actually, in that particular, it's called Lots of Lovin', I did say that, okay. In that particular song, they're telling you about their experience living in New York, everyday life, dealing with, inner city life, dealing with, poverty, their relationships with black women. And in that video, they were actually celebrating the black woman. You don't have that anymore. There were no black women in that video shaking their asses, being degraded or being mistreated or twerking, and none of that. This was in the early 90s. It was none of that. It was none of that degradation and clownery and coonery and foolery bullshit. That came along more so, I want to say, mid late 90s. That's when everything became sexualized. Everything became sexualized within hip hop. Before then, it may have been suggestive. There were suggestions of sexualization. You know, which sexualization or sex is not an issue. It was more suggestive. It wasn't like it is now, where everything just hangs all the fuck out and everything is just sung from a lower vibrating place, talking about you get more money than I do, or if you don't, then you're beneath me. That's what it's about now. And, you know, gentrifying and programming people to like this person better or like that person better and all of that old bullshit. Whereas it used to be about telling a story, being on some real authentic type of shit. And now it's not about that anymore. You know? But Dr. Dre, who else? Who else did I name? Dr. Dre, Puff Daddy, both of them were the gatekeepers for opening up this new form of hip hop. So, of course, they had to take out people like Biggie Smalls and Tupac Shakur. Because remember, Tupac, this is what I'm going to say. Remember, Tupac, he shot a police officer who was beating up a black guy or a black teen or something like that. Tupac shot him, and I think he got off. Well, he did get off. He got off. See, that's the power of rap and hip hop. But then they let that white boy Eminem come in, and then niggas, y'all started worshiping him. And when they gave him the keys to the motherfucking cookout, or the keys to the fucking kingdom, when they did that, that forever changed the streets or the scheme of hip hop forever. And going back to that interview, and I might have forgot a few things, but going back to that interview with Tretch, him and the other gentleman, they were talking about how the black men, the OGs in the hip hop game, the real OGs in the hip hop game, they're not getting the money or the recognition and the respect that they really are entitled to. And unfortunately, the reason that you all are not getting that respect is because you gave it away. You gave it away when you allowed hip hop to be gentrified. You allowed it to be gentrified. Because even though Lil Nas X made that little country western song, them white people are not letting him come over there and gentrify country music. That's something that they control. That's their culture. They control it. Now, I know people are going to say music is universal and all that bullshit. I don't want to hear that bullshit. Music may be universal, but we're living on a physical, material world. And we have different cultures. And hip hop and rap was black culture. That was our culture. That was our storytelling. That was ours to use and do whatever we wanted to do with it. But we allowed it to be gentrified. So Tretch was saying that, you know, a lot of the OGs in the hip hop game, they're not making the money that they used to, or they're not making the money at all, or whatever the case may be. And I sat back and thought about it. I said, well, that's because you all allowed white boys to come in, not Tretch. I'm not speaking on Tretch per se, but I'm talking about the industry, the hip hop industry in general. It has become commercialized. It is more commercialized now, and there's no real talent. So now you have Jack Harlow and you have Eminem, because I'm pretty sure Jack Harlow got in because of Eminem. You know, it's all about that one. It's all about that science of that one. And what happened is enough white people, they probably studied it and they understood, oh, we can get into this energy. We can get one or two of them into that energy, or just one, then we're in the game. You feel what I'm saying? And the sad thing is that at one time, I mean, although as fucked up as Suge Knight was, as fucked up as he was, and he was fucked up, but he was death row, and then they had Bad Boy Records. I forgot who the CEO of Bad Boy Records was, but it was somebody. Let me look it up. Let me see. Bad Boy Records. Who was the? Let's see. Oh, that's Puff Daddy. Puff Daddy. Yep, Puff Daddy. So there you have it. He is the CEO of Bad Boy Records. So Bad Boy Records is still in effect. And as horrible as people may think of Suge Knight, you know, I tell you one motherfucking thing. He was the Nino Brown. He was the Nino Brown. I'm not a Suge Knight fan. Don't like the nigga. Let me say that up. That nigga, I don't like him. But I'm making a point. At least Suge Knight had some motherfucking pull. At least Suge Knight kept these motherfucking others in motherfucking line. I remember I heard a story that he held Vanilla Ice over a balcony or some shit like that. You know, he kept people in line. And see, what people don't understand is this. Again, it's not about what you see on the surface. It's what is happening beneath the surface. And I understood what Tretch was saying about the OGs and hip hop not getting the respect or the money like they should. There is no way that Eminem should be worth more money than Tretch. There is no way that Eminem should be worth more money than Rakim, but that's right, Rakim, he said that Eminem is the greatest rapper of all time, or at least his favorite rapper. Now, out of all the black rappers that this nigga has worked with, you mean to tell me that Eminem is the best rapper of all time to you? And then you wonder why. See, this is why. It ain't got nothing to do with skin color. It has to do with culture. It has to do with spirit and energy and a certain science that really belonged to heterosexual black men. But when they opened up the gateway for gentrifiers, that is how you got people like Saucy Santana, Jack Harlow, and all of these other types of people who have come into the culture of hip hop and they've watered it down. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. I don't care what anybody says. I'm telling you what I know, not what I think. So I understand what Tretch is saying, but I also know why it happened, because a lot of you black men in that industry and a lot of you black men in general, you do this all the time. You let these people come in, you let them suck your dick dry, drain your balls dry, and you can take that literally or symbolically. You let them suck your energy and your essence dry, and then they do better. They end up doing better than you because they're walking around manifesting the shit that you should be manifesting. There's no way that none of those men, none of those black men in that room, because that room was full of talent, there is no way that Eminem should be worth more money than most of the black men in that room. But you have Dr. Dre to thank for the gentrification of hip hop and rap. When they took out Eazy-E, they took out Tupac, and really they took Bone Thugs and Harmony off the scene. All of those brothers should be making buku money. None of those brothers in Bone Thugs and Harmony should be, having any issues making money. None of them. They should have their own record companies. But see, but they got rid of Suge Knight. See, not Bone Thugs and Harmony, but I'm just saying the industry in general. Suge Knight, he was set up probably, to be in certain situations. They got rid of Suge Knight. They pushed him out. And now they don't have a force anymore. And now the only person on the scene is Puff Daddy. And of course, he was the one that confirmed and validated and promoted Saucy Santana, a man who does not like black women, a man who hates black women, a gay man who hates black women, when hip hop at one time was about celebrating black heterosexual love. And I'm a gay guy saying that. I'm a gay guy saying that because I'm not a stupid fucking gay guy and I'm not a weak one. I'm objective. At one time, hip hop was about celebrating black women. I was going to call him Black Harlow. Does Jack Harlow, does he celebrate black women? Because from what I understand, a lot of those white hip hop artists, a lot of them don't even date black women. They go off and they date white girls. Eminem ain't with no motherfucking black woman. He's with a white girl. And that's his prerogative. But what I'm saying, I'm making the point that hip hop was a black science. And it was a powerful one. And when I went back and looked at Juice, I even looked at New Jack City today. But when I went back and looked at Juice, and then after looking at Juice, I looked at that interview. I was led by spirit to look at that interview with Tretch. When I looked at it, it just put things in a total perspective. Because hip hop dictated the culture. Back in the day, hip hop dictated the culture that we lived in. And no matter how fucked up it was, good, bad, or indifferent, at least it was black. And it wasn't gentrified. And there was some foundation between black men and black women at that time. Because even though you had the artists that called black women bitches and hoes, and we get all that. You know, I know Tupac did that too, but that was just part of the culture. Don't take it personal. That's just how they told their stories. But from what I heard about Tupac on a personal level, I heard that he was really respectful to women. Yeah, he had a slip up when he messed with Madonna. You know what I'm saying? You know, whatever the case may be. But I heard he was really respectful to black women. And I'm talking about people that I knew who knew him personally. That he really had a deep, profound respect for black women. And I mean, he was Afeni Shakur's son. So you know he had to have some type of respect. I mean, he wrote a song about his mother. Even though she was on drugs, he still had respect for her. Okay? No, Tupac wasn't a perfect character. He wasn't a perfect person. He made mistakes because he was human. And if I'm saying that, and y'all know how I feel about black men sometimes, and if I'm saying that, then you know it must be coming from a place of authenticity. But this isn't personal. This is about how a science that was used to tell stories and how it was used to defend the black community, how it's been watered down. Because I'm going to tell you one motherfucking thing. Back in the motherfucking day, there would have been no motherfucking Charlottesville back in the 90s. There would have been no motherfucking marching on DC back in the motherfucking 90s. Because those niggas back in the day, they didn't fucking play. Them white boys wouldn't dare do the shit then that they do now. They wouldn't have dared done that. They would not have dared done that because they fucking knew better. But that's because we had that hip hop energy and rap energy defense, that we had a defense mechanism within that. And they knew not to fuck with us. That is why Tupac was able to get off when he shot that fucking police officer. I think he shot him or beat him up, one of them. I think he shot him though. That's why, because we had spirit backing us up. The bottom line is this. The reason Tretch and a lot of those OGs are not getting what they deserve is because hip-hop, rap no longer has spirit in it anymore. It lost its spirit. And when they really, truthfully, when they started degrading black women In those hip hop thing, when it became about degrading black women and gentrifying hip hop, that is when they lost spirit. You know what I'm saying? That's when they lost spirit. And that's when they lost out. Because I'm going to say it again, it's no motherfucking way that Eminem should be on top or Jack Harlow should be on top the way that they are. In a science that was created by black men, how y'all gonna let these motherfuckers come in? Even how y'all gonna let Saucy Santana come in and push y'all out? You know? And now if they wanted to introduce a person that was gay on the hip hop scene, it should have been done in a different way. Because I'm sure there are a lot of bisexual or gay hip hop artists, or rap art, we know that. But it should have been done a different way. It should have been done a different way. It should have been done in a way that aligns with the image and the science of rap and hip hop. That's how it should have been done. So just, going back and looking at all of these different energies and, all of these different frequencies of hip hop, I had to come through and I had to talk about this. Because Puff Daddy and Dr. Dre, they were the gatekeepers of bringing this forth. And it probably was more. Just like that commercial, and they're always, and see now, what's up. See, it's always these gay undertones with a lot of these black hip hop artists now. There's a Corona commercial with Snoop Dogg and some white boy, and they're sitting on the beach. And there's some really gay I said overtones, I mean undertones. Or did I say undertones? I don't know, I'm talking so fast. There are a lot of gay undertones in that commercial. Now, some people see it, some people don't. See, I see it because my gaydar is really good. I'm like the creeper. I'm like, that movie Jeepers Creepers? I'm like the creeper. Remember in Jeepers Creepers, and I gave this analogy before, remember in Jeepers Creepers when the creeper wanted something in someone's genetics, remember he would start going crazy and see, I get a tingle in the cooch. And I'm talking about my boy cooch, honey. Okay, I get a tingle in my boy cooch. Okay? No, I'm joking. But I get a tingle in my dingle. I get a tingle in my tingle, child. You know what I mean? I get a tingle. So, when I sense some gay stuff that's going on, I can sense it. Doesn't matter how much you try to hide it, I'm going to know. And that commercial, two men sitting on the beach. He's looking at Snoop Dogg like he's in love with him. Don't tell me that's admiration and respect. He's looking at him like he's in love with him. And then Snoop Dogg calls him Mandy. Now, the last time that I checked, Mandy is a female name. And it's interesting, they're always putting these black rappers who were known for masculinity and being somewhat alpha like Snoop Dogg. They're always putting these type of black men in these sexually ambiguous or these gay ambiguous situations with white seemingly gay men or white seemingly bisexual men. He's sitting on the beach drinking with another man. Now back in the day, that commercial would have been with him on the beach with some bitches. Okay? Back in the day, that would have been him on the beach with a woman. Not no fucking white boy. You see what I'm saying? That's just like... Let me look it up. Let me look it up right now. Let me look it up right now. Right to now. Who said that shit? That's just like L.A. Reid. Back in 2016, he made a statement that Justin Bieber has the beauty of a woman. L.A. Reid said that Justin Bieber has the beauty of a woman. So here again, here is someone who's in that industry. I don't know, is he directly connected with hip hop? He probably is. In rap, he's a producer. What is L.A. Reid? I know that name. You know, like I said, y'all, I'm not really. He's a former of the legendary record label executive and yeah, L.A. Reid. He's involved in that shit too. He said that Justin Bieber had the beauty of a woman back in 2016. And I don't know how old Justin Bieber was back then, but he was pretty young. I don't know if he was a child when he said that, because I don't really know how old Justin Bieber is now. But he said that he had the beauty of a woman. Now you sit and to the black women that are listening to this, you sit and you digest that for a minute. But then these same types of people, they produce people and artists who do everything they possibly can to tear down the image of the black woman. But here you have a big grown smelly ass nigga saying that this white boy has the beauty of a woman. That's very creepy and weirdo. L.A. Reid gives me weirdo vibes. That's really creepy and weirdo. Not because he might be potentially attracted to men. That's not what it is. So let me be clear about that, of course. It's the fact that he's an old, grown-ass man and was making these statements about this white boy, because there's always this undertone between black straight men in that industry and white men. There's always this gay undertone. And that's the same thing with that commercial with Snoop Dogg. So now this is what hip hop has become. Everything that the niggas that are dead that's speaking to me, you know, all the real motherfucking niggas that's speaking to me, or motor, and I don't mean speaking to me with words. I mean speaking to my spirit. And they feel what I'm saying. And they're telling me, you're right. They don't care nothing about my sexual orientation. They don't care anything about that. They only care about light. What light is emanating from a person. And if you can pick up the frequency, you can have that conversation with them. And that is why I was motivated to watch New Jack City, to watch Juice. Because I normally don't even, now I love me some New Jack City and Juice, but I normally don't watch interviews with rappers because I'm not into rap like that. But here lately, I have really been researching and looking up rap and rappers and stuff like that because of the state of rap. Rap is in a state of emergency right now. Rap is on life support right now, and people don't even understand it. So when I heard Tretch make that statement, him and those other brothers saying that, you know, a lot of us, we ain't getting the money that we used to get. And, you know, people that are coming into the game now making more than people who, you know, really were like more so the architects of this shit who really should. Yeah, you're right. But the problem is you all have black men like L.A. Reid, black men like Dr. Dre, Puff Daddy, and even Snoop Dogg. And I don't give a fuck who gets mad about it. Snoop Dogg, he over there bringing Martha Stewart into the motherfucking energy. Now he didn't he coin her the queen of hip hop or the queen of rap or some shit like that? a couple of years ago? What type of clown coonish motherfucking shit is that? Well, I forgot. He's a fucking Libra. He's a fucking Libra. Told you can't trust them motherfuckers. Told you. And she's an Aquarius, I think. So, this was just a continuation of prior videos that I've talked about in regards to hip hop and even how it ties into, what's happening with Saucy Santana and how it opened up the gateway for that type of energy to come in. Because it's not about expressing stories and telling stories anymore. It's about degrading people. It's about an egotistical, maniacal mentality that is being promoted and pushed out into the fucking universe. Whereas at one time, hip hop was about telling a story. Telling your story. And yeah, they made money from it. But they were telling legitimate stories. They were talking real shit. Things that really affected people on so many levels. And not just, let's broaden it a little bit. Not just hip hop, but the music industry in general. They're not making any good music anymore like that. Back in the 1980s, that song, Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson, and let me just say this to Tank, no. Chris Brown is not better than no motherfucking Michael Jackson. And anybody else that thinks that motherfucking shit, you are fucking crazy. Now don't get me wrong, ain't nothing wrong with Chris Brown. Ain't nothing wrong with the brother. Ain't got nothing against him. But he is not in the same league as no Michael Jackson. And he's definitely not better than Michael fucking Jackson. Nobody in this generation can touch my spirit and soul. Nobody of this generation, no entertainers of this generation can touch my soul the way that Michael Jackson did in that song, Man in the Motherfucking Mirror. That song is parallel throughout time and dimensions. Because it doesn't just tell the story of what's going on in this dimension. It tells the story about what's going on in dimensions across the fucking omniverse that are also on these lower vibrating frequencies. So no. But the music industry in general, it does not tell stories anymore. It doesn't. They don't even use the right melodies and the universal melodies don't even match up anymore. They're so off key. They are so off key. But as it pertains to hip hop, I get it now. Hip hop is on life support. And I say somebody should just pull the plug. Let it die out, because it's not. I know change is inevitable, because a friend of mine was saying, well, maybe hip hop has to be reborn. But be reborn into what? This? Because remember, hip hop was our way of not only defending ourselves, but there were elements of revolution. There were elements of revolutionary types of energies within that hip hop energy. There were revolutionaries coming up out of that, like Tupac Shakur. He was a revolutionary. And he used his music to tell that story. Yeah, he rapped about bullshit too. He did. But at the end of the day, he wasn't about bullshit. He could speak on some real motherfucking shit. He had a spirit. Whether I agreed with his personal human life or not, he had a spirit. He had a story to tell. People could relate to him. My mother was on drugs too. Most of my relatives were on drugs. You understand what I'm saying? And I know to some people, hip hop may have been, depressing and, singing about that, like that song that he sung, Brenda Had a Baby. But at the end of the day, it was bringing awareness to what was happening to, like, for example, with Brenda Had a Baby. It was bringing awareness to what was happening to young black girls in the projects. You know? And then we wonder why, women were running to get abortions and stuff. Because they were being shamed. And let me say this. The Roe versus Wade thing, it's a double-edged sword for me. On one hand, being a man, I don't really like telling women what to do with their bodies. I think women should decide what they want to do with their bodies. I don't want to be in that position. But then on the other hand, aborting babies, I'm just, let me be honest with you all, if I was a woman, if I had a vagina and a uterus and all that, I don't think I could abort my baby. I don't think I could do that. Me personally, I just don't think I would be able to go into that place and do that. I know that there are women that feel as though they have to do it, especially in cases of incest and rape. Okay, I get it. But me personally, I could not do that under normal circumstances just because I got pregnant. But we have to understand too, it's a double slope. Women were shamed, especially black women were shamed, and white women and all women were shamed when they got pregnant at a young age and pregnant out of wedlock. And a woman getting pregnant out of wedlock back in the day was like somebody almost having leprosy. They would shame her, damn near kill her. And when I say kill the person, I mean kill them with cruelty, ignoring them. And kill them with shame. So it's no wonder women were looking for ways to abort their babies, not because they hated the baby, but because they could not deal, especially if it was a young girl, they could not deal with the ridicule that they got. And I don't give a fuck who got a problem with what I'm saying. I'm not a pro-abortion person, but I'm just looking at it from all aspects. You get what I'm saying? And then there's a lot of ritualistic shit that goes along with abortions and sacrificing children and stuff like that. And I really don't want to get into all of that, but I do know that plays a part in it as well. You know what I'm saying? But that video, Brenda Had a Baby, it brought awareness to the stuff that was going on in the ghetto, in the projects, that we may not have known. So, hip hop and rap at that time had a spirit, it had a soul, and it had a consciousness. And it doesn't have that anymore. It doesn't have it anymore. They took the spirit, they took the soul, and they took the consciousness out of it. And that is why now you have black men like Tretch and these other brothers. They're sitting around and they're talking about, well, they're not getting the money or whatever. Well, you're not getting the money because all of the money has now been given to the very people that you all used to rap against, which is the white men and the others that you've allowed to come in and infiltrate and gentrify hip hop, because they didn't have to let that happen. They didn't have to let that happen. But see, y'all let them come in. Oh, that's my boy. That's my boy. He a cool white boy. Yeah, they cool. That's my boy. I understand him. I love him. And while you doing all that, that motherfucker sucking your motherfucking energy. Because see, a lot of them, they still got people over in Europe that they related to. And they tell them motherfuckers, yeah, go over there and suck them niggas motherfucking energies. Then you become, the multi-million-dollar rapper. And then you can send money back home to your Scandinavian grandmother who's over there doing spell work for you. While you niggas sit up here talking about black women and degrading black women in your music. And then you wonder why you end up broken, with no money. And I'm not saying that to be cruel. I'm saying that to show you what has happened and what has happened to hip hop. There's no way a motherfucking Jack Harlow or an Eminem should be on top like the way that they are. There's no fucking way. And I don't give a fuck who gets mad. I don't give a fuck who gets glad. And that movie that Eminem played, well, what was that movie? What was that movie he played in? I think it was a movie about his story or his life story. He played himself in his biographical film. All of those black motherfucking people that were worshiping him, all of those black niggas that was worshiping him, that's why hip hop is on life support, and somebody should just pull the plug. Because it's like watching an old blind dog at this point who is suffering. Somebody should pull the plug. Hip hop, I don't think it can recover from this. I could be wrong. And that's basically what these niggas were coming through telling me, like, these niggas should just pull the fucking plug. You know? They should pull the plug on this motherfucking shit. Just pull it. You know? Just pull it, because it ain't coming back. It don't look like it. Not if you got Puff Daddy talking about and promoting somebody like Saucy Santana, somebody who hates black women, when the foundation of rap and hip hop was promoting the protection of black women at first, and promoting black love at first. Look up that video by CL Love and Pete Rock. Lots of loving. Look it up and you'll see what I'm talking about. The energy's in it. Just look that up. And we went from that to a motherfucking Saucy Santana talking about biological women, gay men are the architect. We may be the architect for some things, but I don't want to even get into that. But I just wanted to come through and I wanted to talk about that. And then I went back and I looked at New Jack City. And when you really examine that, once again, you see how black men, when that C&B drug consortium, black men, they came together with a monstrous, horrible idea, but nevertheless, according to the storyline, they came together with this C&B drug operation, but then they end up turning on each other all the time. This always happens with black men. This always happens with you all. And then and you know the sad thing, because this is really reminiscent of hip hop as well. Because a lot of them are not leaving a legacy. Y'all made all this money, but you're not leaving a legacy because it's been gentrified. And I'm not going to say that they allowed it to be gentrified. Some of them did not allow it. It was out of some of their control. You know? That East Coast, West Coast shit, that fucked up That really fucked up hip hop. That was a marketing tool, and it was an illusion to keep people distracted from what was really happening, which was hip hop was being gentrified by coons like Sean Puff Daddy Cohn, Dr. Dre, who allegedly likes Peter. You know what I'm talking about when I say Peter in my Betty Davis voice. And the way he treated Michelle, the way that he treated, was that him? No, wait a minute. No, that was, who did she go with? Was it him or Doc? Wait a minute. Did Michelle go with him or Suge Knight? I can't remember. No, she went with Suge Knight, I think. Yeah, he's a piece of shit too, you know. Maybe a piece of shit on a human level, but the motherfucker was a genius when it came to music. He knew how to produce good motherfucking artists, good black artists that could tell a story that could keep the tradition going. And black people, we don't have that in the rap or the hip hop or the music industry anymore. No, all we have now are a bunch of niggas running around saying that they're straight, wearing tight fucking pants, trying to compete with black women. I'm gay, and I don't even wear no tight motherfucking pants. Number one, I got too much motherfucking ass. Okay? If I wear tight pants or something tight, I wear it for my man in the house when ain't nobody fucking looking. Okay? But that's all you have now in hip-hop. A bunch of niggas with a bunch of tattoos all over them, all of this mental illness and all this disease. Hip-hop is diseased now. It is a disease. Hip-hop and rap is a disease. It is a disease. All of these hip-hop artists now, they look the same. They're short, they're funny looking, and they're wearing tight clothes, tight jeans. Straight men don't dress, heterosexual men don't dress like that. Where the fuck did that where did that energy come from? I really want to know, because I'm gay and I don't dress like that. All of these heterosexual men wearing tight jeans, looking like they are 99 pounds. And then black women, you wonder why you feel like you battling another woman when you're with one of those motherfuckers, because that's what they are. They're trying to compete with you. And I'm talking about these hip hop artists. But see, that's what I'm saying. Hip hop dictates culture. And the culture that this version, or the current state that hip hop is in now, this culture that it is dictating men who are supposed to be straight wearing tight jeans and shit. That's what it's dictating now. That's what I'm talking about. Because now they got Saucy Santana up in there. And that's not what hip-hop was about. Hip-hop promoted a certain amount of masculine and alpha energy that we all need. A protective energy that we all need. Because I'm going to tell you something. There's no way. My friend was telling me that before his brother passed away, he went to a certain area in D.C. down there on U Street and got jumped by some Hispanic and Mexican dudes. There's no way that would have happened if the black hip-hop energy was still intact. There's no way no Mexican, Latino, Hispanic would have done a motherfucking thing to no black person in no fucking D.C. I said it, and I don't give a fuck who gets offended by it. I said it. But now, hip-hop, all it dictates is all that it shows and all that it pushes out into the universe is black men being in sexually ambiguous gay undertone situations with white men, like Snoop Dogg in that Corona commercial on the beach. and black men wearing all these tight fucking jeans all the fucking time and supposed to be straight. That's some weird motherfucking shit if you ask me. Not because you're gay, of course, because I'm gay. So don't get it fucking twisted. But because of the fact that you're supposed to be a heterosexual man, but you're walking around with fucking tight jeans on. I don't even fuck with no niggas with no motherfucking tight jeans on. I don't even want that motherfucking shit. And black women, you better start giving these motherfuckers the side eye if they wearing some tight motherfucking jeans. Okay? Wearing these tight fucking jeans and shit, and then they ain't got nothing in the goddamn front. Child, I guess I'll be looking. They ain't got nothing in the front. Shit. They ain't got nothing in the front. They ain't got the swag or the masculine energy no motherfucking more. So what good are you to me? What good are you to me, child? Or what good are you to any black woman out there? But this is what this new hip hop is dictating, because remember, it dictates the culture in black culture, whether people like it or not. And you can dislike it, but it is what it is. Have these motherfuckers been cloned? Because you know they're always talking about being cloned. Have they been cloned and replaced? Hip hop is dead. Rap is dead. It's dead. But thankfully we have the old version of hip hop, and we do have the hieroglyphic science of that older version of hip hop. That's one good thing. That has been retained and maintained, and can't nobody touch or take that away. No matter how they try to shift it and change it, they can't take that away from us. We can always go back in those hieroglyphic records and look and learn and get information and use it. And all I keep hearing Tupac saying is keep your motherfucking head up. You know? So maybe hip hop may be dead, but at the end of the day, they may have killed hip hop in its physical presence, but they can't never kill the true spirit or the true foundation of hip hop. They can never kill that. They can never touch that. They can never kill that. You know? So that's just the moral of the story. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thanks.